Welcome to this webinar titled 5 Principles of Sustainable Leadership, where I will talk about the essentials of leadership and sustainability. My name is Karin Ekberg, and I'm the founder and CEO of Leadership and Sustainability, and we actually celebrate 10 years this month. And let me just give you some basics about the Zoom webinar platform. So the audience will be muted during the webinar in order to ensure the best audio quality. But anyway, please feel free to send us any question during the presentation via the question function. So at the right-hand side, you can see a screenshot of the question function, and here you can find the button to open the window where you can type in your question, and then you send it to us. And we will, in a follow-up email, we will make available also the presentation and the recording for you. So here's a quick look at what we will be covering today. So after the introductions, we will talk about the 5 principles of sustainable leadership. And I will also, towards the end, I will give you some information about leadership and sustainability. And then we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please, you can begin already now to send them via the question function, and then we will have time to spend on your questions. And finally, we will wrap up together. So the 5 principles of sustainable leadership are among the most important and central principles you as a leader in the sustainability area may adopt. Let me give you first an overview of the 5 principles. So they are leadership, engagement, and communication, sustainability strategy as an integral part of the business strategy, integration into business processes and value chain approach, lean operations, and the business case. And what about leadership, engagement, and communication? What do you wish to engage and communicate about? I think it starts with a conviction and commitment. So let me give you some facts here based on 2 very different perspectives. Understanding the importance of sustainability in business or in any organization can build on, for example, the Global Risks Report from the World Economic Forum. So this illustration is taken from the Global Risks Report 2025. You can see here how the respondents rated global risks with a time frame of 2 years. So they were sorting and giving a scale to a long list of risks. And you can see with a time frame of 2 years, so what they believe will be the biggest risks in 2 years from now. And the green bars represent environmental risks, and the red bars represent societal risks. And with a time frame of 2 years, we have in the second place extreme weather events, followed by societal polarization in the 4th place. However, looking 10 years into the future, the respondents had 5 different environmental risks on the list of 10. The first 4 places were occupied by environmental risks, now topped by extreme weather events, then biodiversity, etc. And here it's important to point out that these risks were selected by the participants in the survey out of a total of 33 global risks. And the respondents were over 900 experts across academia, business, government, international organizations, and civil society. And then the planetary boundaries framework, it highlights the rising risks from human pressure on 9 critical global processes that regulate the stability and resilience of the Earth. In 2023, a team of scientists quantified for the first time the framework's 9 processes that together maintain a stable and resilient Earth system. So previously, beginning in 2009, they had only been able to assess 7 of these boundaries. But let me now explain what these boundaries mean. Climate change, increased greenhouse gases and aerosols in Earth's atmosphere trap heat that would otherwise escape into space. The climate change planetary boundary assesses the change in the ratio of incoming and outgoing energy of the Earth. More carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and more trapped radiation causes global temperatures to rise and alters climate patterns. This boundary is transgressed and CO2 concentrations are rising. Novel entities. Technological developments introduce novel synthetic chemicals into the environment, mobilize materials in wholly new ways, modify the genetics of living organisms, and otherwise intervene in evolutionary processes and change the functioning of the Earth system. The amount of synthetic substances released into the environment without adequate safety testing places novel entities in the high-risk zone. Stratospheric ozone depletion. Ozone high in the atmosphere protects life on Earth from incoming ultraviolet radiation. The thinning of the ozone layer, primarily due to human-made chemicals, allows more harmful UV radiation to reach Earth's surface. Total ozone is slowly recovering because of the international phasing out of ozone-depleting substances since the late 1980s. So this is actually an area where we have, as a humanity, have been able to curb and to stop degradation. Atmospheric aerosol loading. Changes in airborne particles from human activities and natural sources influence the climate by altering temperature and precipitation patterns. And then ocean acidification. The acidity of ocean water increases, which means its pH decreases as it absorbs atmospheric CO2. So when the ocean water absorbs CO2, it actually becomes more acid. And this process harms organisms that need calcium carbonate to make their shells or skeletons because the acid actually destroys the calcium carbonate. And it impacts then marine ecosystems, and it reduces the ocean's efficiency in acting as a carbon sink. Modification of biogeochemical flows. Nutrient elements like nitrogen and phosphorus are crucial for supporting life and maintaining ecosystems. But industrial and agricultural processes disrupt natural cycles and modify the nutrient balance for living organisms. Freshwater change. The alteration of freshwater cycles, including rivers and soil moisture, impacts natural functions such as carbon sequestration and biodiversity and can lead to shifts in precipitation levels. Land system change. The transformation of natural landscapes, such as through deforestation and urbanization, disrupts habitats and biodiversity and diminishes ecological functions like carbon sequestration and moisture recycling. Globally, the remaining forest areas in tropical, boreal, and temperate biomes have fallen below safe levels. And finally, biosphere integrity. The diversity, extent, and health of living organisms and ecosystems affects the state of the planet by co-regulating the energy balance and chemical cycles on Earth. Disrupting biodiversity threatens this co-regulation and dynamic stability. And we will now have a look at these 9 and at how these 9 processes are doing over time. So in 2009, we can see here that 3 have crossed the boundaries. Climate change, biogeochemical flows for N for nitrogen, and biosphere integrity. And now let's go to the year of 2015. Now we also have the biochemical flows of P, of phosphorus, and land system change crossed. What about 2023? Let's go there. Now another 2 have been crossed, novel entities and freshwater change. And what about the last year I want to show you? What about 2025? And now we also have ocean acidification. So in 2025, 7 out of the 9 boundaries have been crossed. And here you can now see how it evolved since 2009. And if this doesn't scare even the most hardcore business person, then I don't know what. So you can see the trend here. Just in 16 years, we see a degradation that is really immense, going from 3, which is bad enough, and to 7 boundaries that have been crossed. So here I have summarized some reasons why business and sustainability leaders should care. We talked about global risks and planetary boundaries. I would also add inequality, which was actually also one of the global risks listed on the previous slides. And then substandard production environment and working conditions for workers. And finally, the business case. And we will come back to the business case since it is our principle number 5. Your engagement as a leader is crucial for a successful sustainability journey. A leader drives change and innovation, creates opportunities, strives to be a role model, inspires people and organizes coalitions internally and externally for an effective and sustainable organization. When a leader takes responsibility and assumes accountability, it is as if suddenly a glade opens up in the forest where you are not expecting it, and then unexpected things can happen. One of the big leaders related to sustainability is Paul Polman, the previous CEO of Unilever. And Paul Polman said in a 2020 interview with Leaders Magazine, it's not just about giving energy, it's about unleashing it. So unleashing energy means opening the doors for others to step up to a sustainable change. And we often see sustainability strategies that are not linked to the business strategy of the organization. I believe this is often a challenge for the sustainability specialists, that they operate without a strong connection to the business and to the business operations. If that is so, what makes a sustainability strategy? Well, a sustainability strategy can be a powerful means to a successful business strategy if it is an integral part of it. The challenge here is to meld the business and the sustainability strategy together so that they reinforce each other. And actually what we see usually is the opposite, where sustainability departments seek to, let's say, clean up what the business strategies have invented. But a true sustainable business strategy follows sustainability as much as business. And a sustainability strategy should be seamlessly integrated with the overall business strategy. This integration ensures that sustainability and business objectives support and reinforce each other rather than being separate or conflicting goals. Combining sustainability with the business strategy means creating a cohesive plan where both elements work in harmony. This approach contrasts with the common practice where sustainability efforts merely mitigate the negative impacts of business activities. So a truly sustainable business strategy considers sustainability as a core component, driving both business success and responsibility. So aligning sustainability with corporate goals doesn't mean sacrificing profit for purpose. On the contrary, businesses that prioritize sustainability often find new opportunities for innovation, efficiency, and growth. It's about creating a balance where both the planet and your bottom line thrive. So let me tell you the case study about Interface Inc. and how they turned sustainability into its growth engine. And this is a really old story, but it is still a really good example. In the early 1990s, Interface Inc., one of the world's largest carpet manufacturers, faced a crisis. Their raw material costs were surging, waste was piling up, and competitors were out innovating them. The company was profitable, but fragile. And then the pivot. In 1994, CEO Ray Anderson launched Mission Zero, aiming to eliminate waste, use recycled or bio-based materials, and cut emissions. Many investors feared this would hurt margins. The opposite actually happened. Within a decade, waste costs dropped 43%, saving $405 million, more than funding the entire sustainability program. So the use of recycled renewable materials rose from 0% to 49%, reducing dependence on oil-based inputs. Factories achieved 60% emission reduction and 44% water use reduction. And the company tripled its innovation rate, producing modular carpet designs that drove new market demand. Customer service showed sustainability became a top 3 purchase driver, especially among architects and commercial buyers. So by aligning sustainability with business strategy, Interface grew from a traditional manufacturer into a design-driven, innovation-led brand, increased market share despite intense global competition, strengthened resilience by reducing exposure to oil prices and regulatory risks, and became a talent magnet for engineers and designers wanting to build climate-positive products. Interface proved that sustainability is not a cost, it's a competitive strategy. When companies embed sustainability into business decisions, they don't sacrifice performance. They unlock new efficiency, new products, new talent, and new markets. So sustainability didn't slow Interface down. It made it, at that time, impossible to catch. Now we have come to the third principle, and now we will take a look at the value chain of a business. A successful sustainability strategy is integrated into all business and support functions in an organization. I always call this the value chain approach. Why? Well, most companies have a sustainability impact throughout their processes and value chain, and therefore we need sustainability experts and project owners who are sitting in those processes. If you have subject matter experts in the actual business or support process, then you will have the combination of sustainability expertise and process understanding and influence. These people are like the cogs sitting directly in the machine that needs to be running smoothly, seamlessly steering the machine. If you imagine an old-fashioned mechanical watch, where every cog is turning endlessly, but is linked to another one that also turns, and so on. So sustainability should be embedded in all business processes and throughout the value chain. Having sustainability experts involved in these processes ensures that sustainability is considered at every stage, leading to more effective and comprehensive sustainable practices. So how do you do this? Well, it takes time. Contrary to the still prevailing approach to have a central team who seeks to do many things related to the value chain, the integrated approach takes time, perhaps a few years, to build up. First of all, we need the central team to build the bridges to the different business functions, learn to speak their language and not the opposite. So you need to understand your different business operations. You need to understand what sourcing is doing, what R&D is doing, etc. And don't expect them to become sustainability experts and speak your sustainability language from day one. And then you need to make them aware and train them, doing a lot for them, but being very transparent about what you're doing. And then step by step, hand over tasks to the people in the business function until they are ready to drive their portion of the sustainability strategy themselves. And this takes, as I said, a long time. It also takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of innovation from your side to really understand how your business is operating, what drives your different business functions. And now lean operations. So what has lean operations to do with sustainability? You ask me. Well, actually a lot, if I may say so. Lean, but not mean, operations are really good for sustainability. There is so much that can be done in this context. Saving water, reducing energy consumption, and reducing waste generation are just a few examples. But what about consolidation? Consolidation can mean reducing the number of processes to produce a certain product. It can be reducing the number of materials that make up a product. I think consolidation is an often overlooked aspect of sustainability innovation, perhaps because it lies between sustainability and the business process itself. And consolidation has a lot to do with simplification. To summarize, lean operations which focus on efficiency and waste reduction are beneficial for sustainability, simplifying processes, reducing resource consumption, and minimizing waste contribute to both environmental and economic sustainability. And some of you may have heard fairy tales written by the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen. He wrote a lot of different fairy tales. And let me tell you the story about the clumsy hatchling and the flowing pond. Once upon a time, in a quiet farmyard by a silver blue pond, a group of ducklings hatched from their eggs. Each was soft, yellow, and quick on its feet, except for one. This duckling was larger, grey, and awkward. No matter how hard it tried, it stumbled over twigs, flapped its wings too wide, and took twice as long to cross the yard. The other ducklings laughed. "You're so slow. You waste energy. Why can't you waddle like us?" Embarrassed, the grey duckling tried harder. It hurried, it rushed, and copied the others. But the more it rushed, the more it struggled. And one day it tripped over a fallen branch and landed in a pile of spilled grain. The farmer, watching from a distance, chuckled. "That little one is working twice as hard, but getting half as far, wasting time, energy, and food, none of which we have to spare." Ashamed, the grey duckling wandered down to the pond, where an old heron stood gracefully in the shallows. The duckling sighed. "No matter what I do, I waste time and effort. I'm just inefficient." The heron tilted its head. "Efficiency is not about doing more, it's about doing better. Watch the pond." The duckling looked. The stream that fed the pond did not rush, yet it carried water effortlessly. The reeds did not fight the wind, yet they swayed without breaking. The fish did not thrash, yet they glided swiftly. "Lean into your strengths," the heron advised. "Cut waste, work with the flow. Nature does not waste, it uses only what it needs, and that is why it lasts." The duckling thought carefully. Instead of rushing, it observed. Instead of flapping wildly, it found balance. It streamlined its movements and took smoother, more efficient steps, wasting less energy and needing less food to keep going. As the seasons changed, the duckling grew strong, so strong that one day, when it spread its wings, it did not waddle, but soared. It had never been a duck at all. It was a swan. Back at the farmyard, the other ducks gasped as the swan glided overhead, moving with effortless grace. The farmer smiled. "Ah," he said, "it was never about working harder. It was about working smarter." Okay, so The Clumsy Hatchling and the Flowing Pond, that was the fairy tale by H.C. Andersen. And now we have come to the fifth principle, the business case. And you might say, well, this is for my managers. And yes, it is, for sure. But it is also for you. Why? Well, you may be convinced that sustainability is the only way to move forward. But your managers will wish to know the business case beyond the facts I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. We know that many companies and organizations have a highly intrinsic motivation to have a meaningful and well-defined sustainability strategy. And this also really makes sense from a business case perspective. Establishing a strong business case for sustainability is crucial. While doing the right thing is important, It's also essential to demonstrate the tangible benefits, such as cost avoidance, compliance, profitability, and revenue generation from sustainable practices. To gain widespread support for sustainability initiatives, it's important to articulate the business benefits clearly. Only because you are convinced it is the right thing to do, your managers might not be convinced. They need to see also the business benefits. So avoiding future costs, ensuring compliance to avoid fines, and increasing profitability through efficient operations are compelling reasons. Additionally, building a reputation for sustainability can open new revenue streams and create competitive advantages, making sustainability a strategic business imperative. Let's talk about the 6 drivers. One can identify 6 drivers for developing a sustainability strategy. And we did some research a few years ago where we reviewed a lot of different scientific studies and publications about the business case for sustainability. And although the authors had used different drivers, we could see that there was like an alignment in how these drivers looked. And based on this alignment, we defined 6 different drivers. And these are compliance, risk minimization, cost savings, integrated operations, brand and reputation enhancement, and innovation and market development. And so if you think about how these drivers function and how they work and how they impact the finances, well, the compliance and risk minimization, this is about avoiding costs. This is about making sure that costs you don't have today also are not don't come tomorrow. And then cost savings and integrated operations. Yes, this is about saving costs. Energy savings is a very common low-hanging fruit when it comes to saving costs, because actually when you reduce your energy consumption, you can also save quite a lot of money. And then the last 2, brand and reputation enhancement and innovation and market development. This is about seeking to generate additional revenue. And so in my view, in most cases, the different projects that you are running in your company or in your organization about sustainability, you can find them in one of these 6 categories. If you are working on saving energy, yes, this is about cost savings. If you are reducing the number of materials in your products or are consolidating, then we are talking about integrated operations. If you are testing your products for RSL, for example, then this is about risk minimization and avoiding costs. And of course, compliance is quite clear. This is about having legal compliance and also technical compliance, etc. So if you think about all the different projects that you are running for sustainability in your company, you can then link them to one of these 6 drivers. And with that, we are coming to the end. If you liked this presentation, please feel free to listen to my TEDx talk, where I speak about the 5 principles with many other examples and stories. And now let me give you some information about leadership and sustainability. At Leadership and Sustainability, we are a team of about 80 consultants and auditors globally, and we aim to help companies become sustainability leaders. We offer supply chain services on the one hand side and strategy services on the other. And here you can see an overview of different strategy services that we offer. And on the other hand, you can see here some of the auditing and supply chain services that we are offering. We also write handbooks for suppliers. We define management systems, supply chain management system together with brands or large manufacturing groups, etc. And so with that, my final slide here includes our contact details. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have a question or if there is anything we can support with you with. And with that, I will thank you so much and say goodbye for now. Bye bye.